Hi, this is Rohit from careersprints.com, and we like to make videos that help you with your professional development and continuous learning. Now, in this video, I'd like to address the differences between how stakeholder management is carried out in Agile versus Waterfall. Now, unfortunately, there isn't too much literature available on this topic. However, I'm going to present to you different angles of how stakeholder management differs in an Agile versus a predictive setup so that you understand this topic holistically. Now, according to the PMBOK guide, in the world of predictive, stakeholder management has the following steps: identify stakeholders, plan stakeholder management, manage stakeholder engagement, and monitor stakeholder engagement. Now, we look at each step and see if there's anything significantly different about them in Agile. Additionally, I'd also like to talk about some role changes in an Agile environment, for instances that of a functional manager or a project manager, since they too are stakeholders within the organization. So the first step of stakeholder management is to identify stakeholders. Now, this is a task that is normally done by the project manager in a predictive environment. However, in an Agile context, for example, if you're using a framework like Scrum, the entire Scrum team would take on the collective responsibility for stakeholder identification. Since an organization will have different types of stakeholders such as business stakeholders, customers, other functional managers, and team members who sit outside of the Scrum team, and these are people who may influence the Scrum team, they are all stakeholders that need to be identified. More so, knowing and collaborating with such stakeholders will be important because of the complexity involved in an Agile project. Now, the second step or process in stakeholder management is, in the world of predictive, is plan stakeholder engagement. This is the process where you produce a stakeholder engagement plan for the project. Now in Agile, stakeholder engagement is a more collaborative process where the teams aren't going through several layers of management to reach the right stakeholders. Instead, team members directly engage with stakeholders during the iterations. For example, product owners would engage with business stakeholders or customers from time to time to groom the product backlog. The Scrum Master, for instance, would facilitate the success of the team and would also work with other stakeholders to remove impediments for the team members. Finally, developers don't have to cross several managers to get to the right person. Now, when we talk about managing and monitoring stakeholder engagement, this process is primarily about communication with stakeholders, addressing their issues, fostering stakeholder involvement, and bringing about changes to the engagement plan based on observations and feedback. Now, in an Agile world, this is done through high stakeholder involvement during sprint execution. For example, the team can use a visual Kanban board that acts as an information radiator, communicating information about the product in a transparent manner. Teams also meet with stakeholders during their sprints should they need to sort out dependencies or work with them to remove impediments. For example, product owners can work with stakeholders for product backlog grooming sessions, and stakeholders attend the sprint review meeting to provide their feedback about the increment that has been built so far. Primarily, the intent of inviting stakeholders to project meetings and reviews and posting project artifacts in public spaces helps to surface any misalignment, dependencies, or other issues that might impact the project. Were the processes in stakeholder management, and I explained to you the differences in how it is handled in an Agile versus a predictive setup. But now let's look at two important stakeholders, the functional manager and the project manager, and how they engage as stakeholders in an Agile setup. For example, functional managers will work with teams to nurture them by helping the team members enhance their skills and competence, energize and motivate people, and maintain team integrity. Plus, functional managers can also help the organization align with Agile values and practices, such as promoting the Agile values, removing any organizational impediments, aligning internal groups and partners. Functional managers can also help with team formation and changing team composition when needed in an Agile setup. Next, project managers in an Agile setup can take on any of the roles such as product owner, scrum master, or developer and would perform those duties according to the roles that they've taken on. For example, if the PM becomes the scrum master for a team, then the PM would carry out all the responsibilities of a scrum master, serving the team, the product owner, and the organization. For example, while serving the organization, the Scrum Master would need to train the organization in Scrum adoption, advise on Scrum implementation, remove barriers between Scrum teams and stakeholders, and also work with the project management office to promote Agile and Scrum values and practices within the organization. In a nutshell, like all other processes in an agile environment, even stakeholder engagement reduces the formality of the process, makes communication more decentralized, transparent, and rapid, that results in quick mitigation of risk, building more trust, and encouraging quick adjustments earlier in the project cycle. Now, let's try to wrap up this video from a few statements from the Agile Practice Guide. Now, these statements sum up the process of stakeholder management. So the Agile Practice Guide goes on to say this: projects experiencing a high degree of change require active engagement and participation with project stakeholders. To facilitate timely, productive discussions and decision-making, adaptive teams engage with stakeholders directly rather than going through layers of management. In order to accelerate the sharing of information within and across the organization, agile methods promote aggressive transparency. So these statements sum up how stakeholder management is handled in an agile setup. So there you go. I've just explained how stakeholder management differs in agile versus a predictive project. Also, before you leave, I quickly wanted to talk about the free PMP virtual class that we conduct a couple of times in a month. Now, with this free class, we cover a lot of useful information about the PMP, such as all the changes that have been made to the PMP exam in 2021, any books and resources that you can leverage for the PMP certification exam preparation, any pitfalls to avoid while preparing for the exam, and what steps you can take to gain the certification successfully. Additionally, we also teach at least one chapter for free from the PM book. So if you're interested in this class, the link for it is in the description below. Please go and register for the class. Now also check out this Udemy course that we've created on the Agile Practice Guide, which is considered to be one of the main reference books for the PMP exam. Greater than 50% of the PMP exam is now based on Agile concepts, so the Agile Practice Guide is an extremely critical resource that you would want to use for your PMP exam prep strategy. This is also the only course on Udemy which is purely based on the Agile Practice Guide, so it has razor sharp focus for what you need to know for the PMP exam. You can use the coupon code that is given in the description of this video and get this course at a discount. Finally, I would like to make an important announcement. We are going to have very soon an in-person class that will talk about the PMP exam psychology. In this class, we'll help you develop the mental muscle to tackle tricky and difficult PMP questions just like a pro. This workshop would be for 10 to 12 hours where we'll help you develop the right mindset to crack the PMP exam in your first attempt. And the cost for this class is going to be extremely reasonable. Now, if you're interested in this class, you can send us an email at info@careersprints.com saying that you're interested, and we will send you back the details. So thanks a lot for watching this video. We wish you all the best for the PMP exam.